these wonderful signs, I mean, all of these incredible immersive engagements around us here, and that everyone engages with all around the world. Think about the audience and the environment that they are coming to this screen or signage and experiencing, recognizing the data that is potentially available to do appropriately and with full opt-in, but recognizing that there's a lot of learning that could come with that experience. But then also recognizing that these signs are part of an overall customer experience where most of the time there's some other transaction taking place. A lot of our world is helping people bring advertising and marketing, monetization, and other engagements tied to a retail experience or an in-stadium experience or an airport experience. So knowing that people are multitasking already through the physical space, how can you then make sure that they're engaged enough to have a rich experience, but not too much where it takes away or detracts from the physical real estate or why they're in that space in the first place? You want to make sure it's additive. So keeping that in mind in everything you build out with the tech that you are partnering with to be able to tie in monetization and audience data aggregation, the targeting that can take place there, and then the talent really of who's going to be using this, making sure that they can really appreciate these wonderful signs that are and networks that are being installed. Yeah, so one tip about the content. So it's very similar. The content needs to make sure that it is wrapped appropriately and again is additive to the overall experience. You want to have forced content like you're staring at some bad infomercial from 1987, slammed at your face, interrupting you, and jamming something that is completely out of context of why you are in that environment, again, engaged with that screen or being distracted with something that is completely inappropriate. You want to be pulled in. So the tip would be make sure that it's pulling and something that someone is going to want to do, obviously, and engage with by touch and haptics or by sight, sound, smell, whatever, to be able to, again, leverage the amazing tech that's here and the hardware and software that's integrated. You need to make sure that the content is not just some standard loop that some BD guy jammed in because he could get a deal without thinking about the actual audiences. So just, again, make sure, very similar to the advertising, that the content is additive and part of a benefit to the actual people that are seeing it. Yeah, so the biggest challenges in the industry today, we would highlight, with context, we would talk about how the signage industry is leveraging its hardware capabilities and integrating with software either together or through other partnerships. So the biggest challenge, frankly, is recognizing that we are dealing with a world where everyone is a publisher. Not just consumers because we're all on social media, but every physical space is a publisher. We have one client that is a major telco in the United States and in Europe that we're helping launch their retail out-of-home or public advertising space and monetizing that correctly. And the paradigm shift of people who have never been publishers before in a traditional sense, everyone thinks of a publisher like the Washington Post or my alma mater, the New York Times, and all those types of folks, but really publishers are anyone who have audiences gathering around them that they can deliver award-winning and fantastic and enriching content with advertising, and again, proper personalization and data to make sure that experience is done on an individual basis. So the biggest challenge, frankly, is infusing culture, talent, and knowledge and education and recognizing that there are entirely new revenue streams available beyond what people are pitching around this show today, that they can be launching new revenue lines and thinking about their end customers in a completely different way, not as just transactional or just putting a nice piece of content in a gorgeous screen in a wonderful space. God, asking a consultant to mention 3 mistakes, we could talk for an hour because then it would sound like a commercial, and that's not the point here. Yeah. So top 3 mistakes are, one, folks that are again conducting transactional deals without thinking about the customer first and the end user or the person who is engaged here, and so they're thinking about short-term revenue and an immediate hit without thinking about the totality of how it's making sure it's additive to the experience. Mistake number 2 is thinking too much inside the club, frankly. This is an industry that has done brilliantly taking care of its own and respecting, and the culture and the relationships here are amazing. People that go back 30 plus years that have done deals way back in the day before signs were 3D and all the amazing tech around here. Recognizing that, especially again in the advertising world, and again a lot of these new retail customers, these folks are coming from very different mindsets. They're coming from a digital first place. They're coming from a place where they're taking this device and going outside of your space and some other experience. So how do you continue to leverage the wonderful moments that have been created in the physical space and continue that for both the distributor and the provider and the content provider and the advertising that comes with it? So thinking about that customer journey beyond that moment would be key. And the third is culturally then related to that talent. There are only about 4% of United States and about 5% of global advertising is delivered in what we're still calling the out-of-home space today, or what a lot of us are calling public advertising now. So to be able to go get the other 95% needs a perception and talent change and an ability to kind of break outside the circle here and talk to CMOs or other heads of brand and marketing and recognize, gee, why are you spending $2 out of $3 with 2 digital channels when this environment has none of the baggage that digital advertising has, but look at all the experiences and benefit that you can gain for programmatic or automation or just straight good old-fashioned, one-to-one contractual relationships and direct deals, whether it's programmatic or not. So, the talent needs to be complemented here because there are a lot of amazing folks, and we've been seeing it with our recruiting division and elsewhere, placing people that come from a digital background in the out-of-home world. It's been wonderful to see how those organizations have completely changed. So those would be the top 3, I'd say. How does DSE help us do our job? Follow me with a camera for the next 10 minutes and go, see the 8 people we're going to run into, or check my calendar where we have meetings every 15 minutes for the next 3 days. So, no, I mean, it's just like any fantastic trade organization or a trade show. It's bringing together the community, the content, and ultimately the commerce. And so for us as an independent, consulting practice that helps in programmatic and automation across the ecosystem, we've helped about 310 clients, only about 30 have been in the quote-unquote out-of-home space. So, we're excited to probably have that double, and it's in no small part to the great relationship and partnership and what DSE brings, and recognizing that you've got fantastic traditional out-of-home manufacturers that have been around here for a long time, but again, a new infusion in the D of the DSE is where we, celebrate and applaud the work being done, because the connections and the ability to, get actual deals done and build new or strengthen existing relationships is better than just about anywhere else.